If I'm the creator of all of these shows with my cast, that I'm gonna cast my life according to the life I want. And if there was a camera on me at all times, who do I want with me? What conversations do I want to have? What music do I want around me? What do I want to wear? Like if I'm a TV show,
Yeah.
then I cast everyone around me accordingly.
I have to say, I've never thought about it the way that you are saying it. It's like, if I want to create this life, if I want to create this business, if I want to create this movement, who do I want around me? I never thought about it like, what roles, if I'm the main actress, what supporting actress do I want? I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're curating your life. Welcome to Wake Up and Unleash. I am very excited for today's guest, that I am actually gonna read what I wrote about her. When I was doing my research, I actually sent her a message and I was like, girl, you have a resume. Let me read, okay? I actually wrote this because I was like, I want to really highlight what it takes for a woman to be going in one direction and pivot and follow her passion, her culture, community. Like, okay, let me just read, okay? Today's guest is the definition of creative reinvention and cultural leadership. Isabel Reyes, known to many. I want you to say your name.
So my name started as LA Bellatini. And then because of Twitch and the internet and the pandemic and everything, people started calling me La Bellatini. And then I was like, I like that too. And since I'm easygoing about kind of things, like I like both. I like La Bellatini, Bellatini, Bella. So.
Okay, this is just telling you a lot about her. That is how much variety this woman has. She is a powerhouse, a multidisciplinary entrepreneur who flipped the script on what it means to build a business from heart, from hustle, and heritage. Listen to this. I did not know this about her. She worked for over 25 years in film and TV production, working with some really big names many of us know: Netflix, MTV, Telemundo, etc. She didn't just pivot. In my eyes, she completely transformed. She stepped into her next level as a DJ, as a creator, curator, and founder of Friends Over Followers, which I have to tell you, I really want to hear more about that because I was like, wow. A platform that uplifts artists, activates communities, and turns events into transformational experiences. So as you can see, she doesn't just spin music. In my eyes, she literally is transforming lives with her art. So this is why I'm so excited to have this conversation with her, because I was like, wow, she's like multiple, like too many things in one human being. And I have to say that when I was reading about you, one of the things that really captivated me is how true you've been to who you are, and like your passion and your culture and your personality is unapologetic, which is, I'm all about that. So thank you so much for being here.
I'm stoked that that's like what you picked up out of it. That is really me in that, but that did not come easy. You know, I think like along the road, I've been told all these things I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do and what I've been doing wrong. So to hear you now even just say like that's what you like about me it's just more reaffirming for me. That's something I'm very proud of, is that I stayed very true to what it is that my vision and how I think the world should be according to me, and I at least try to lead by example with that. So to be recognized in that form, all of that's really awesome that you wrote that. So
that's why I sent you that message. I was like, wow. Okay, I knew that you had mentioned to me that you had a lot of experience in that, but when I was really like researching you and I was watching some stuff that you've done, I feel like when I see you, and I mean, like I said, I had an opportunity to meet you recently, but I guess when I met you, I didn't know that there was all this behind the woman that was creating a room for us to show up in our full selves at my brunch. So take me back, like talk to me about, your experience in that, all that production world, which I would assume back then, I'm sure it's still like this now, but it was more heavily male dominant. You being such an amazing female powerhouse. How was that, and what allowed you? Well, let's start there. Let's start there because I have so many questions for you. But talk to me about how did you get into all of that, and how did you stay there for 25 years?
I think about this story all the time, and it's not. It's so real, and it does not feel real, to be honest with you, because let me just go way back. Career day in school, high school, junior high. I remember the one thing that I had issues with was always I didn't see myself in like a power suit. I didn't see myself in like the professional women that I was raised watching. Like we saw Working Girl, we saw all of these movies, right? You saw these women in these like male dominated cubicles and all these things. And that to me just never felt like me. But when you're not given opportunities, or no one ever told me I could be in film or TV or working in creative. No one ever told me that I could be myself and be successful. You have to work. You do this thing, then you work at this gig, and then you got to work like according to how they want, and you got to listen to a boss.
You got to follow the rules.
You have
to follow
the
playbook.
And I'm the daughter of immigrants, so you got to follow the rules. You know what I mean? They're going to look at you different. They're going to do this. My parents and family have all experienced all their things, right? All of ours have, I'm sure. And so that never sat right with me, you know? And so I was always sort of a problematic person. Well, I would say that people very often considered me a very problematic person because I just was like, I don't like that and I don't know. And I don't know what to do, so I'm probably going to end up doing nothing then. Like, I didn't see myself in a uniform, so I didn't think I was going to work at a place that
like, you didn't
uniform.
feel there was a space for you.
I didn't know that there was space. And so one thing I always loved was the arts. I love movies. I love creating. Like, I was always doing that kind of stuff. I've always made music mixtapes and stuff like that since I was little. I was always the one playing the records when we were little, you know? I didn't think about that, like that connection to music until later. But so my first gig, I remember I was working as a waitress. I went to my fiance at the time, my first. I've been in some relationships. So my first fiance at the time, he was working at Sony. He was interning, and I went to have lunch with him a couple of times while he interned at Sony. And one time at the lunch, because we were with his boss and stuff, I was like, "This is really great. I'd love to be a part of this. Like, if you could let me know if I could be a part of this, you know." No experience, nothing. And he was like, you know what? I'll call you. Let's talk. He called me and we had another meeting. We talked for a little bit and then we had another meeting, and he was like, look, the one thing he said was like, I want to make sure you understand what's happening. Like, it was working in accounting for Party of Five, the TV show Party of Five. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
So
we're aging ourselves.
I know. But that show was so good. So I was working in accounting at Party of Five, but he said to me, like, there are people from all over the world competing for these positions to work at Sony, to work here. And so if I give you this job, it can't be like a job. You have to make it a career. And if I give you this job, you have to promise me you'll do the job that you got to do here, but I'm going to allow you time. I mean, the generosity of this man, Vince Rotunda, I will never, like, till the day I die. He said, I will allow you, if you finish your job, I will allow you then to go into all the different departments, check them out, help them, volunteer with them, see where you could be helpful with them, and see how you like, how you like all the different departments, all the different things, see what everyone does, learn while you're here. And I was like a 20-year-old, I was 20, going to be 21-year-old girl who'd never been exposed to anything like this. I now could feel the weight of that, and it gives me chills because I don't think he knew what he was doing and what he saw in me. I definitely didn't see it in me. I probably didn't actually see it in me until like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I've just been in chinga the whole time, Yeah. So I feel like I've constantly been like, so then that would happen, and I'd get something, and then I'm in it, and then I do that, then I get another thing. So like, once I worked there, so I worked on Party 5, I worked on a couple of pilots.
So did you go to the different departments and do all of that?
I went to all of them. I did art department, I was in casting, I worked with the producing team, the writing team.
I think that's something that's so valuable. Like, most of my audience are women our age, but I really hope that you would send this to a young girl, because that, when we're young, you're so, I feel, curious, right? And this is the time that you get to mess up, meaning like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And like, I feel like so many times when we get older, we get a little jaded, like, oh, I don't know, right? But how beautiful that he allowed you to explore this world, right? And and actually, like, if you think about it, you probably manifested that since you were a little girl, like allowing you to see all the different facets and be, I love to say, I love to be curiously engaged. So I'm curious, but I'm engaged in my curiosity.
Oh, totally. And you know what's so funny is I have, like, when people ask, like, again, like, what you want to be when you grow up, like, there's a little photo of me when I was like 7. And I said I wanted to be a rock star when I grew up. And there's a photo of me with a microphone and like dressed in this little skirt, you know, like.
That little girl inside of us really needs to come out.
Yo, I feel like a rock star now. Like I posted that photo. I posted a photo of me on the mic, like, and I was like, I did it. You know what I mean? I just didn't really know. I obviously had enough to know that, like, I wanted to be holding a mic.
Well, this is when you were little. We have, unfortunately, we get, you know, people say things, but when you're young, like, I remember I would hop around. My family would be like, they never said when I was little that I was too much. That came when I got older, right? But I was little, everyone's like, Karla, sing and dance, and they would all laugh, and they were, who I am brought joy to adults. And then as I became an adult, they were like, you're too much. And that haunted me, I'm sure, like you, for so many years. Now I'm like, girl, that's my superpower.
My dad would tell me to shut up all the time. Like, my dad was like, oh my God, shut up for a while. Like, you're talking too much.
Can I tell you something? You know? I've never said this. They used to pay me to be quiet. One of my uncles, I've never said this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is confession time between you and I. So one of my uncles, we were driving from Redwood City in the Bay Area, where like Facebook is now, to San Jose swap meet. Because we used to go to swap meet on the weekends. That was our mall.
That was my family time.
Yeah,
Sundays was swap meet day.
And so my uncle's like, yo te voy a dar $20 si no hablas de aquí hasta allá. I'm going to give you $20 if you don't speak from here all the way to San Jose. It was like 45 minutes. He would say things and I was like, and my aunt would be like, Karla, cállate, get that $20. Anyway, I don't remember if I earned them or not, but they still make fun of that because I just always had something to say.
Yeah. And that's become my superpower.
Yes, of course.
You know, like, that's definitely, I could walk anywhere. I could go anywhere and start a conversation with anybody. Look, you just found me downstairs. I was sitting there talking to the construction guys, talking to them about, you know, like, where they go, where they get in construction, like, if they get a lot of business after the rain. Like, I'm interested. I actually like people. That's the thing. I do.
You know, I think that's what happens when people are too much. I think it makes other people uncomfortable because it's very confronting because people, I think, see somebody like us and deep inside, I feel that I'm just going to say, they're a little jealous of the energy and the courage that we have to be all of us, right? It makes them feel, I'm sure, a little uncomfortable, right? But anyway, take me back to sorry to interrupt you, totally side note, but take me back to to your job.
Well, to talk to that about makes people uncomfortable really quick, like, I think what happens too is, like, people, when you're a really big person and you're walking around, and especially if they're going through things or they've been through things or whatever, they think, oh, well, she's obviously never gone through anything. That's why she's so happy. You know what I mean? And I tell people all the time, like, if you knew the hell I've been through and what I've had to fight in order for me to be this happy. You know
Talk to me.
I mean?
What is that?
Like, there's just so many, like all of us, we've dealt with so many things and whatnot, but being in this industry was definitely something that has changed my whole way of thinking. I know that when you're in the industry, it's like one mindset that you have to kind of like, you adapt to the environment and whatnot. So, but I mean, you know, I've been in the creative industry for almost 30 years. I've had so many of my ideas stolen, but also me, myself, like, not knowing the value of my own ideas and just being like helpful or whatever. Yeah. And then just not being a part of the thing and then being left out and whatever. I mean, we could talk traumas on the next podcast. Today we're talking about the good stuff.
No, but you know, here's the thing. I would love for you to share. You were in the industry for 25 years working for other people.
Yeah.
What had you pivot to all this movement? Because that's what I was reading about you. The feeling that I got was, you're creating this movement. And I almost felt like, and again, I don't know you, I just met you a couple weeks ago. It's like you're creating a space that you wish you had.
Yes.
That was
That's literally it.
That was the feeling that I got when I was reading about you. So what had you go from that to this?
So I've worked in the industry for so long, and so like I was constantly working with other people, and in working in these spaces, these are like highly professional, spaces. I worked for Netflix, I worked for Fox. Like I met with Mike Darnell at Fox forever when I worked on his shows, like when he was running Fox. Like I would have meetings with these CEOs, with these executives about these top shows. Like at one point I was casting a show. I've cast shows out of boxes, like not even meeting people, just reading their interview packets and knowing exactly what to ask them and whatever, and then getting the best, and then been able to cast like without even having to meet them, like just reading their paperwork a lot of times. I think after being in the industry and working for all these other people, and a lot of times I would be asked to produce shows that they want, and my job was to go into different communities or into different environments and pluck out the people that could be captivating for a show. And in that time, obviously, I've met so many people through my life. And I think there just came a point where I just realized that I was using my skills to go into, honestly, I didn't feel like they were going into my communities enough. Like my creative art communities. I'm like, man, they're giving these guys platforms and these guys platforms and that person a platform. They're wanting to exploit this person. And this has been like from even with TV, like what I wanted to do when I was working more in like the TV and film industries, I wanted to get all my film and TV friends to get together and for us to do our things, kind of like Judd Apatow and all them have their groups of people, like how they all work together on different movies and stuff. I'm like, dude, we have all the people in our crew. Like I'm the casting director and a producer, and then you're a director, and you have camera, and you're an editor. Let's just create our own thing so that we don't have to. But because the way that things are, and I think because of like the industry and because of like the networks and the gatekeeping and the, you know what I mean, the executives and like what they think that should be on TV. I heard all through the years, I heard so many times like, oh, we can't put more than 2 black people on this show because like in Wisconsin, they don't like black people. Like,
yeah.
And it would be a very regular thing to say.
It was like the industry standard.
It doesn't
right?
even matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like that. And if you want to be on this show, like The Bachelor, for instance, when I worked on The Bachelor, we went to go get people from like Scottsdale, Arizona, like a party city, you know what I mean? And like get all these, crazy white girls that want to be married to someone. But if you were black or brown, you needed to have like a PhD.
Oh, wow.
You needed to be like upper echelon. But we could get some random chick from the Dave and Buster's that just is like, I'm looking for a man. Like if you're white, that's okay. Whereas, if you're black or brown, it wasn't kind of so I think like seeing and being a part of all that for so long, and like being in a space where like these microaggressions were constant, like regularly, and everyone around could speak like that, I think after 25 years, it kind of started taking a little toll on me. And I started feeling like it was really getting tiring to hear like, oh, well, you can't work at Bravo because they only want Bravo people to work at Bravo. But then they have a bunch of like white women casting affluent Latinos that only speak Spanish, but they don't speak Spanish. So they're not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't get that world.
After a while, you're just kind of like, oh, it's not the brightest and smartest and best to get these gigs. It's just
who fits the norm. There's something that we would always talk about when I was directing a multicultural entrepreneur program, and it was like they want you to look like them.
Yeah.
So even like some of my Latina friends, if they didn't look Latina, but they looked, let's just say, they looked very white.
Yeah, white passing.
Yeah, they were fully Latina, but both parents and everything, but they looked very white. And so she could most likely get a seat at the table because she looked like them and they felt comfortable around them.
They are more comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think constantly making sure other people are comfortable. I think growing up in that scene, I was raised in Ventura County in like Thousand Oaks area, predominantly white area. So already people, you know what I mean? Like they're dominant, they're walking around doing whatever. And we, even though I was born here, we're, our families are workers and, so apparently that's less than. And, according to them, our families are workers. They don't know that what we're doing. You know what I mean? They don't know what my dad does or my mom does, but we're Mexican and first generation, so
So when that took a toll on you, when was that decision that you're like, I'm out of here and I'm doing my own thing?
So the thing is that I always really liked going out, and I've always been connected to a bunch of different artist groups throughout the city and have a lot of friends. And in casting, I've met a lot of different people. So when I would want to break from my gig or whatever, I would always go dancing or something with like all these other DJ groups or friends or whatever that would in crews. And after like a while, I think there was a moment where I just thought, you know what? Well, the Beat Junkies actually opened a school, and they're a DJ crew that I used to go watch back in the day all the time. And I was like, man, they opened a crew, that'd be awesome. And they did like turntablism and like mixing and scratching and all that stuff. And I was like, oh man, that'd be really funny if I took a class and I learned how to do that, and it'd be something fun I could do. And I would just shock my friends. I thought that would be the funniest thing, just to shock my friends. I know how to scratch or something. I don't know. It was around that time that the industry was really kind of, again, like, you know how the industry is right now, And so the industry was really changing. I noticed that the industry was changing, but also I noticed I was changing.
Like in what way?
There were just fewer gigs, and the gigs that were there were just more exploitative. And
no, how did you change? Did you notice you started losing yourself or something?
I felt bitter, and I started feeling kind of jaded, and I kind of started being like, I hate this gig. What are you doing? Like, I don't want to find these people. Like, or what is this?
Like you were losing that fire and that drive that you had.
And I thought that I maybe hated casting. For a while, I was like, maybe I just hate casting now, you know? So then the money started drying up a little bit. But then I started DJing, and then I was making more money DJing. And then I was like, wait, what's this? I could go out and just hang out, get free drinks, play with my friends, and get paid more than if I work on this show. Like, then I'll just dedicate to just DJing right now. Like, I'm gonna leave this industry before. And then it occurred to me, like, I was like, no, this is just DJing is now my paintbrush now. I'm an artist. And as an artist, I've been able to produce, I've been able to cast, I've been able to write, I've been able to do all sorts of things. But now my artistry is in DJing. And so then I focused on DJing for a while. But then I realized, like you had mentioned earlier, like keeping a space for people. What I realized was, like, a lot of the people around me were so talented, and I'm like, why? Like, so if I'm the creator of all of these shows with my cast, that I'm gonna cast my life according to the life I want. And if there was a camera on me at all times, who do I want with me? What conversations do I want to have? What music do I want around me? What do I want to wear? Like, if I'm a TV show, then I cast everyone around me accordingly. So every time you're around, there's going to be there's something to see, there's something to hear, there's people around. And that meant me changing. Like, when you say a lot, like, if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future or something, or what is it? Like,
so one of the things that I really do, like, I don't know, maybe tomorrow is going to be a different one, but like the last couple of months or last year, it's like, it matters who you have around you. It matters. And you know what, right now, when you're saying this, I never really thought about this, but so I took a program called Landmark. I don't know if you've ever heard of Landmark Education. And I remember one of the guys saying that, so we have this, I forgot what he called it, but it was like I think it was called the Trump card. It's like, so there's this way of you being. And so you literally will cast, that was the word that he used. You will cast your environment so that way of you being continues to show up. But they referred it, not to say anything bad, but like in a negative way. Like, so for example, somebody who's always feels like they're a victim, you're going to cast people around you that will have you feel like a victim, so that victim story continues to be alive inside of you. And so I understand that, but I have to say, I've never thought about it the way that you are saying it. It's like now flipping the switch in a positive way. Like, if I want to create this life, if I want to create this business, if I want to create this movement, who do I want around me? I never thought about it like, what roles, if I'm the main, or I'm the supporting actress or the main actress, what supporting actress do I want? I never thought about it like that. Because that's how you're curating your life.
Yeah. So I started curating my life.
I love that.
And actually, too, what made it go like gung ho, like I put like my foot to the gas, was I got divorced. I got divorced right after. And I highly recommend, y'all, if you're feeling stuck in your business, in your life, I am a firm believer that behind every miserable woman is a man. For sure. And not that my man was miserable or that he's a horrible person or whatever, but I think sometimes in these like dynamics, like especially, you know, for me, I don't know how you were raised, but I know I was raised that just being picked by a man and being like, that's already you're winning. Societally, that's what we tell people, right? Like you go da-da-da, but like
you should be so lucky.
Oh, and then when you get divorced, I know I've been divorced twice, so I'm on my J-Lo status. But like I know my family right away, they're like, oh, what did you do to them?
Otra vez.
What did you do? Why? No one could, like, you can't keep anyone. It's like, no, they can't keep me. That's the thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I don't let anyone do that. Like,
yeah, girl, you're making me come all my confessions here. When I was younger, if my family is watching this, you guys really did a work on me. I was about 7 or 8 years old. Oh my gosh. And I'm very loving. That's like my love language. And I sat on my dad's lap and I was like hugging him and kissing him. He bought me a boom box, the ones that you have two tapes. Yeah. And so one of those, and they had batteries so I could like sing, because I love to sing, and I can't sing, girl, but I love to sing and dance and all that. And my dad bought me this and I sat on his lap and I was kissing him. I was like, Papi, I was like, somebody, I'm not gonna say who in my family, said que enfadosa. Like, how you say that in English? Like, anyway, I don't know how you say it in English, but que enfadosa. I don't even know if there's a word in English.
Like a bugaboo or something.
Yeah, like you just bug. I don't know. Que enfadosa. And then they said, nadie te va a aguantar. No one's ever gonna tolerate you. And when you get married, we're gonna put a sign that says she's not returnable. And everybody started to laugh. And I
want to cry. That's horrible.
You know, and so whenever I hear people say things to little girls, I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
You're going to send her to therapy. I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars to reframe that. I mean, it still hurts me, but I now know, like, because, and then also like when I got married, so yes, I'm going through a divorce. I never publicly talked about it. So girl,
let's do it.
Let's do it, right? But he's an amazing man. I have nothing bad to say about him. He's an amazing man, amazing father. We just were not amazing for each other. And I remember that somebody once said, because we were kind of not getting along. Actually, we were not getting along. And they said, si ustedes se divorcian, ya sabemos de quién es la culpa. It said, if you guys get divorced, we already know whose fault it is. Meaning mine!
Yeah, obviously it's your fault.
And I'm like...
Obviously.
Because they don't want to hear what I have to say. Because I was so scared that I'm 47 years old, girl, and I was so scared of them saying something and triggering that little girl.
Well, and because, again, we've been told these things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I was told things like that very similarly, you know. I've always had very expensive taste. Like, I've liked food. So my parents, I was a latchkey kid. We were raised by TV. Cary Grant was on my TV a lot. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I like pink champagne and, you know, perfume.
You like the life.
You know?
Look, honey, we like the life.
I've been living it, you know? So But I remember there was this one time when I would order steak and lobster everywhere, because that's where I learned on TV that was what you would order, you know, if you're like at a nice place, you'd get steak and lobster. And so my dad was very hardworking. Both my parents are extremely hardworking and super smart. And my dad, when he would have a lot of like a good month or whatever construction gigs, we always went out every Sunday, but every once in a while we'd go to a really nice steakhouse. He loves steakhouses, so he loves steakhouses. We went to like this one, I think it was like the Chart House, and it was like way crazy expensive for us at the time too, and all that stuff. But my dad was always like, never talk about the price when you go eat. Like when you go eat, you pick what you want, you eat it. There's no how much is this or whatever. And this is my parents. We were poor growing up. Like I didn't know we were poor growing up.
But you didn't have a poor mindset.
But no way. My dad never, 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 like he never managed us. My mom was definitely much more the one that was like, oh, you can't order that if you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember one time we ordered, this is a real big story in our family, but I ordered steak and lobster at the chart house. At the time, it may have been like 50, $60. And in the 90s, that was a lot, you know what I mean? For a meal, you know? I mean, that's a lot even now, even though, you know. My mom was like, you can't order steak and lobster here. Like, you could order it at the Sizzler, but you can't order it here, you know, because it's like too expensive here. This is like, and I have caviar on my plate and all this stuff. And, and, they were like, you can't order that. And my mom was like, you can't have that here. And my dad's like, yes, she can. She can order whatever she wants. And she says, okay, well, when she gets married, then, you know what I mean? Then no one's going to ever want to marry her then. That's what she said. They're like, well, with that idea, then no one's going to ever want to marry her. And my dad was like, well, then she'll stay here with me. I don't care, you know? But that was always a thing. But I did force myself. I don't know if I ever confessed this, but caviar. Remember, I tried caviar when I was little because I would see all the people on TV eating caviar. And I hated the taste of caviar when I was a little kid. But you would never know it because I trained myself to like it. And I love caviar now. But these are just like things that I just did. Like, you know, there's things that I do even still today that I'm like, oh, this is for me, this is what luxury is. You know what I mean? For me to wake up in the morning and open my French doors and look into my beautiful garden with like a cup of coffee. Like, you know what I mean? That to me, you know, have a longer, there's all these things that I do that in my head, this is what it's like to live this certain life.
Yeah.
And I live it wherever I'm at, you know, like I'm the person that puts on all the robes in the hotels when I go to them. I put all my perfumes out and like I put my clothes in the drawers. Like I live wherever I'm at. Like that's kind of
you
like
know, this is so great that you're saying this. So here's another confession. We're gonna title
confession.
We're gonna title this podcast the confession. But here's the thing, right? So growing up, I love the bougie life. And my dad, he's very much like that. Like he's very bougie, my dad. But my mom, bless her soul, I love you, Mom. She is not like that at all. I mean, I don't know. She grew up with money. The funny thing is my dad grew up poor. My mom grew up with money. Yet, like, yeah, so, but that just goes to show you that it has nothing to do with the money. It's all the mindset. Yeah. Anyhow, but, you know, so growing up, I would always hear people make fun of my dad for being so bougie and for always wanting expensive things. And so I associated that life with not a positive thing.
Yep.
And so when I started my business and I grew and I remember when I first started making a lot of money, I would go to San Francisco and go, do you remember Kenneth Cole? I don't even know if it still exists, but I would go to the Kenneth Cole store and I probably never even wore the shoes, but anyway, I would just like live the life, you know? People would make fun of me for being so extra. And I'm like, but this is who I am. And then with time, I stopped being her.
Yes.
And I stopped, I mean, like if you guys go into my Instagram, you will see I completely lost myself. I stopped being bougie. I stopped being all of me. I stopped being extra. And because it made me feel like there was something wrong. And so I've been through so much therapy for years. And the whole theme was all about how are you taking care of yourself? How are you treating yourself? Now, you know, I talk to her and I'm like, I get it. Because when you can learn to put on the robes because you're deserving, put on the perfumes because you're deserving, and allow yourself to me, you know, people say, oh, you gotta learn to love yourself. That's like, but what does that really look like, right?
It's like it's like a broad thing, right? You gotta love yourself, take care of yourself, self-care, go get that cappuccino. Like it's like, it's so much deeper than that. And so when I got divorced, I think the reason why it was like a big impact for me was because I obviously like, I was the Chili's waitress, and then I got hired in this production. And then the next gig, oh my God, the way I got that gig is even crazier story. Like I went into the office, it was for Survivor, okay? The first season of Survivor. I remember that I worked on the first 5 seasons.
Oh, wow.
So it was for Survivor. I walked into that gig, and my boyfriend at the time was working there and was like, oh, come have lunch again. And I think the accountant looks really busy and he looks like he might need help. Maybe you could come get a gig because it wrapped up over at Sony. And I walked in there, met with the guy. The guy was kind of like not really into me, it felt like, or he was really busy and just kind of doing all this stuff. And I finally just said to him, he had a bunch of people coming in when we were interviewing, like interrupting him. And I finally just go, it looks like we've been meeting for like 15 minutes. You have like piles of stuff all around you. I could handle this stuff. Like, you can't even interview me without being interrupted every 5 minutes. I can't imagine how you could do all of this stuff. I can, though. And no one needs to talk to me, you know? And he was like, all right, well, I'll call you on Monday. I showed up on Monday and I walked into this office, like it was like production office, and I organized the one desk in his office without them even being there.
Wait, had you already been hired?
No.
Wow, that's bold.
And they showed up and were like, what the hell are you doing here? And I was like, okay, I organized all this stuff, but I could totally leave. But just wanted to organize this stuff just to kind of give you an idea of like what I can do real quick.
Nice.
And he was like, okay, you can stay till the end of the week. And then the next thing you know, I'm flying to Australia. I lived in Australia for 3 months. I lived in Nairobi for 3 months. I lived in Thailand for 4 months. I lived in Tahiti for 3 months.
But that just goes to show, you know, here's the thing, right? So like most of the women that listen, most of the people that listen to this podcast, it's all around entrepreneurship, and that's what it takes. Like, even though you were not an entrepreneur at the time, you were an entrepreneur. You've always been an entrepreneur. And so it's what we like to call entrepreneur, right? Because you're inside of a company, but you run it like it's yours.
I've never heard of it like that. Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. And so like, and working in the entertainment industry, it's freelance, right? I've been a freelance artist my whole life. So like, once you get the gig, like you're not guaranteed to go on another show or whatever. You have to make these relationships and you have to see who's doing what and be like, oh, that sounds cool. Oh, okay, I know that guy. Oh, he'll tell me, like, he wants me to cast for him. Great. And so like, very rare that I would ever sent out my resume anywhere. It's very rare. Even today, like, it's very rare that I don't send out things to be booked. I get booked by referral and by just my experience and, you know, whatever, and during events. When I was married, the one thing, I married a creative, another creative, and that's who I've married, like directors and stuff. And so I always felt like so like when we had a production company together and it was like powered by me and directed by him, you know, but I was the one that was like doing the behind the scenes, the power. But we'd go to meetings. I was the one that would get us all our gigs, and I'd go to meetings and I'd be the one that was like, all right, this is what we're thinking, you know, whatever. And he had his quirky way of doing things or whatever, but I always took the back seat. I was always like, cool. Now you got this, great. Now go, you know, but I will take a back seat to it. I'll support you. And I thought we were working on things together, you know, building together. It wasn't until like, it didn't take very long for me to know for me to learn that I was actually there just to support his dream. And supporting someone else's dream when you're thinking you're going to be doing things together and kind of being like not chosen by your own partner or not feeling like you're being in the same rooms as they're in, and feeling that kind of like, I started becoming like, for lack of a better word, like a wife, like at home, and like I'd be working still, but I still did like the domestic stuff. And then I was like, I was just like, what's going on? You know, the pandemic probably kept us together a little longer, but once we got out of the pandemic, literally once everything got out, we separated almost right after we were allowed to be going out in the streets. Like, we pretty much were like, all right, cool. We were separate from there. And at that point, boom, like, I felt like my furnace, maybe the perimenopause was triggering that too, but I felt like my furnace just like opened up, like, you know what I mean? It was like, I got this fire, now let's go. Like, let me go put it in, let's go, I'm gonna put it all into myself. Okay, cool, this is what I'm doing. This is the kind of vibe I'm gonna do. Now this whole production company that I had, now I've made it like my own, like where now it's like a friends over followers thing where it's like, I'm here, if I'm casting the world, well then I'm going to pick the best of all the people, and now I'm going to give them the support they need. So I consider myself like an artist lobbyist, really, you know, I'm going to give them the support they need. Some of the people don't have quite the experience, maybe like working at like an elevated level, like for Netflix or for like Fox or for any of these big companies, especially back in the day. Like, I didn't shoot content, I shot TV shows, you know, that's a big difference. And so teaching people even the words, the way to communicate, like how to negotiate deals, because I've had to work with like really high end people, right? And so I've had to like kind of hold my ground. I learned really early. I basically feel like I was like a kid thrown into like a swimming pool and like, all right, get it, you know? And I learned. And so I found that like my skills now are better served in my community, and I started seeing a difference in my community. I like could see like there's just so much more unity. Like I felt safer, and it's funny because technically I make less money now than I did when I worked in the industry, obviously, right? And everything I do is self-funded at this moment, which I'm looking to change all that in this next year for sure. But I'm technically making less money than I was back then. Like I was balling for sure those days, but I've never been happier. I've never felt more purposeful. I've never felt more efficient. I've never felt more loved. I mean, I can't see myself really being like with one person ever again because I honestly feel bad for any one person that I have a lot to do and a lot that I need handled, you know, and I need a lot to be taken care of. And I can't imagine one person would ever be able to do that, you know? I mean, you know, maybe, but I think right now I have so many incredible resources around me in every kind of person, you know? And so I don't think about things like people ask me all the time. They're like, oh, do you date? And I'm like, I'm out 4 times a week. I'm out here playing music and hanging out with people 4 times a week. I'm dating everybody, you know? Yeah. I'm dating Los Angeles right now.
I was going to say, I feel like the world is like, you know, is your new playground, you know?
Totally. And I have like the best time. And I also learned that in being this way or in putting more into myself and in selecting the people that are around me, like casting, I'm almost like a self-powered battery because they're giving, I'm giving. And so it's like, and even to the last second when I'm working, like last night I was working till like 2, 3 in the morning with another project that I'm launching, you know, with a girlfriend of mine. You know, right when I closed it up, I was like, dang, I still have like a list of things to do, but man, I feel great.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny because I think that sometimes people will look at people like us and, you know, like I know you mentioned it earlier, they think that we're never sad or, you know, and the thing is, I am. There's times that I just don't live there very often. However, that's where the whole name Wake Up and Unleash came from because I kept hearing God say, wake up. Well, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but it was a 4-day boot camp that I was at Dana Point. And every day he gave me a message. By the end of it, it was like, wake up and unleash that woman that I created you to be, Karla. And ever since I've tapped into that, I have tapped into, if people thought I had energy before, I have tapped into this. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, yes, I'm drinking everybody knows I love my CR7 and my Liftoff, but my CR7 and my Liftoff support the fire that's inside.
Totally. That
is living on purpose. That is like, I just, you mentioned something about money, and here's the thing I'm going to challenge you. And I know you believe this, and I think it's more for the audience that sometimes we allow that to be, I'm just going to say it, like, it's like your jail. You're a prisoner to this situation because we put value in, but I can't afford the purse and I can't afford the whatever and I can't afford the whatever. But what we don't look at is what it's really costing you is your soul and your health.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I have a friend that we talked about before the show started about your hair and your nails. And I have a friend who has had a lot of health challenges. And I told this friend, we're going to call her Mary, okay? I told Mary, I said, I want you to consider that it is your emotional way of living that has you so sick.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of therapists, okay, that I call. I have like people on speed dial. And one of my therapists said to me once, he said, you take on so many people's energy. You talked about that, right? And they are drawing. People love to be around you because tú les das energía. You give them energy. Yeah. And then he said this to me. He said, I am so surprised that you are not sick. Jeez. And I asked him, I go, what do you mean? And then he went and explained to me how, that's why a lot of people have immune system problems. That was a wake-up call for me to think, I cannot be caring about what other people say. I still do, I'm not gonna lie, but I get out of it faster. Take care of what people say, what they want me to do, how they want me to live my life, what the status quo is, like I'm cool not having, I have nice things, but they don't mean anything to me anymore. Like what really means, I love what you said a little while ago. I want you to talk a little bit about that. It's like, really, what is your definition of a luxurious life? for everybody it's different, but for me, I'm gonna tell you, it's like the absence of worry. To me, that is true luxury. Yeah, I like nice things, but I love my peace. I love the ability to, like you said, to, look out and drink some tea and have that calmness. And, it will take a toll on you. So sometimes people don't realize what it's really costing you.
Well, I think that's the thing with how you said about like the money and like figuring, it's like, okay, like how much like you're saving on this, but like you're wasting on this or whatever, to me, it would cost me a lot to go into a place and work somewhere where they have been able to monetize my value better than I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not going to sit okay with me.
Yeah.
Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like,
and let me tell you something. That happens even now that you're a full-on entrepreneur, it's like that happens a lot with women. I know that I struggled. I'm not gonna lie. I struggled a lot to really know my worth.
Yes, I think I said to you earlier today. Like, I probably didn't really know my worth until I really didn't. There's so many things. I'll talk to my friends now, and I'm like, man, can you believe it? I'm over here. I'm DJing. Look at me on this big stage, or I curated this huge event or whatever. And I'll talk to some of my old friends from 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and I'm like, man, can you believe it? Can you believe I'm up here on the stage with the mic? You see me out here like this?
And what do they say?
And they're just like, what are you even talking about? They all saw me. They're like, remember that time that you did this thing? Da, da, da. And I'm like, yeah, but that was whatever. They're like, no, dude. You've been doing this. Why did it take you so long? And I think, again, like we said, what people tell you when you're really young, you know what I mean? You just need to just get a job. My parents asked me, my parents are great, but my parents I had worked on all these different shows, Survivor, but again, it's freelance. So you work on those shows I worked a lot, but there would be times where you only work on a project for 4 months and then you're out of work for a couple months or whatever until someone hires you on another thing, and then you work.
They were worried about you.
They're like, when are you gonna get a real job? What are you doing? Is there any point you're gonna grow up and get a real job? Yeah. My parents have no idea that I'm recognized by the city and stuff. They don't understand.
Have you told them?
I mean, I've told them and they know, but I'm saying they don't know what it means.
Do you invite them to your stuff?
I do. I sometimes. Not always, because I also know they don't drive out here like that, and they don't. But if my brother catches a fish, oh, dude, it's a big deal. You know what I mean?
I'm going to challenge you.
I got to tell them and invite them?
I'm going to challenge
hey,
you.
Come out.
I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to challenge you.
All right.
Because, and I don't know if this is at all your situation, but I feel this is also going to serve a lot of the audience watching this. So I grew up a nerd. I'm very smart. I was in GATE, the Gifted and Talented Education. I was the president of, I have one heck of a achievement, academia. And so to me, it was not a big deal. This is what you do, because my mom would always say, tu único trabajo es tener buenos grados. Pórtate bien y saca buenas calificaciones. Your job is to behave. In other words, don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's really what she was saying.
Basically.
And get good grades. That was my job, right? And I was recognized the who's who. Everything in high school except for valedictorian. That was just the thing. So then I was also acknowledged for the Economic Student of the Year award, okay, in college. I was the nerd of my professor, and he acknowledged me. I didn't invite my parents. It was a big thing. It was a big thing. And I got all dressed. I drove at the time, and I was on my way out. And my parents are like, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, me van a dar un premio. And they're like, wait, what? Because to me, I thought they're so busy. They're always working. But like you, I have beef with my parents about my brothers too. My oldest brother especially. Oh my God. I don't care what you say. Gabriel is your favorite. And so, anywho, so I go, long story short, I'm at Landmark Education. Okay? And I'm doing this thing. And, they started putting things, Landmark is a very transformational experience. It literally changed my life. And then on Tuesday, so it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have a Monday off. And then Tuesday we come back, with lack of the better word, it's a graduation. And they're like, who are you going to invite? And I'm like, oh, my family, they're busy. No, they have meetings on Tuesday. They're not going to come. Anyhow, it was a huge breakthrough for me to invite them. And I was so like feeling a certain way, and I got coached throughout it. And I called my parents and I was like, well, I'm doing this thing. And but I know yo sé que no pueden venir because you have a meeting on Tuesday. And long story short, they ended up coming. Girl, I was like 35, I think. I was 33. I was crying like a baby. And what I got, and it's nothing to do with my parents, it has nothing to do with your parents, whether you invite them or not, but what I got was how I don't allow people to celebrate me.
Yeah. My parents, I feel like, I feel like I would tell them and they'd be like, congrats, great, that's awesome. Like, that's kind of like, they don't, I honestly think that maybe, it just occurred to me right now, it like popped in my brain, maybe I'm like a reminder to them of someone who did all the things despite being told to not do the things.
Very confronting.
You know what I mean? Like, my whole life has been like an act of rebellion, for sure. Like, my parents, my dad and my uncle and my brother joined the karate studio that I wanted to join. And they were like, girls can't join it. We're going to do the intro thing and whatever. And I went to their intro classes and I sat on the side. I learned more than they did by sitting on the side. And then I ended up going there. They ended up paying for me to do it. And then they decided they were going to stop paying because they were like, we're not going to pay for it. My brother, my uncle, and my dad, they all quit the gym. I stayed there. And then they threatened to stop paying for it. And my Sifu at the time, Andy Smith, again, another man who totally like just supported me, was like, no, you come here after school. Because I would go right after school every day. And I'd stay there till like 9 o'clock and ride my bike home. But I would teach the kids also. He's like, you come and keep doing that. I won't charge you at all. So I would come. I would teach the kids. I would train, get private lessons. I did all this stuff, and I didn't pay for karate or anything. A lot of what I get and a lot of what I have received has been literally out of just like, people have always been very generous with me.
But but listen to what you just said. But they're generous because of how you show up.
Yeah, my social currency. I have a good social currency.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I pay my bills with my social currency for sure. You know, and so. Yeah, like, if I have like another big thing, I feel like my parents are just like, I think coming out to LA is kind of probably their bigger thing, but I think again, like, they don't quite understand like what it is, you know what I mean, or what I do.
So many women that I'm sure are watching this, one of the things that when I was reading about you that I really admired was how you're bringing in, talking about our culture, how you're bringing in the culture and everything that you do. And I mean, I don't want to get political on this, but like, especially with everything that's happening, like, I've seen how you are, again, haven't lost who you are and what you stand for, and how you've actually turned that into a movement that defines now what you do. Like, talk to me a little bit about how you decided to, I mean, that's a risk, especially in the industry that you were in, where you're like, I can only do 2 Black people on the show, right? And so now, right now you've got your own thing going on, and you incorporate the culture in everything that you do.
Well, I think like right now the proof is in the pudding. Like, more than ever now. I mean, Bad Bunny's like the top performer in the world. Like, there's all these things that like, and I find a lot of strength from this younger generation. A lot of the things that they say, like, I'm like, man, like, if we were raised with this kind of thinking, like, I would, who knows what I'd be doing, you know? But there's like like the self-limiting belief systems that are just no longer allowed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could now very actively, when someone goes, oh, this sucks. I very confidently could be like if it's like, I don't know, I had an example like where a friend's like, I mean, this album's okay. And I'm like, no, this album's great. You might not like it, but like, I don't want you to trash this album here. Like, it's
just not your style.
Yeah. And let's define our language here. You know what I mean? Like, don't just say something sucks. Like, this is somebody's art, you know? But I think, like I said, the proof is in the pudding, and that, like, right now, especially being Latino is so, like, in vogue, you know what I mean? And like, Latinos. And so it's like, how can you be like we're like top GDP earners. There's all these things that Latinos bring to the world, you know what I mean? Just if you want to talk about it just business wise, you know?
The money, the numbers are there.
The numbers,
right?
It's all out there. This is not like a secret, you know? And it's getting bigger and bigger. Like we're bringing in more money. We're like the top vendors, and we're also like we have like the largest like GDP. Like we can have our own like country almost.
Absolutely,
you know
we'd be
what I
number
mean?
5.
Yeah, right. It's
Yeah.
like so it's like there's all these like things. That's like it's evident. Like the culture. Like you've been to Mexico. It's beautiful.
But my question is like, how did you like own
Maintain.
that? Because here's the thing, I know, I'm not gonna lie, like when all this was happening, like I was like, oh, should I talk about it? Should I talk about it? Because what was that? I'm like, there's a lot of energy, especially as a business owner, that there's a lot of, how do I say this? There's a lot of like risk to really voice your beliefs, your political beliefs, religious beliefs, whatever beliefs. There's a lot of risk. But I think that I've watched you do it very classy, because I've never seen when I've seen your stuff, you're like you said, like, hey, let's redefine this language with this album.
Well, I think like with like the way propaganda and the government works, right, and all these different things. Like again, not just like we know this as like a political. It doesn't matter if it's whoever's in office today, or 8 years ago, or in 10 years. The way things are, the way I've seen in my time here, I like to think like I'm here in this like meat suit, for however many years I'm here, But my energy and my source is forever, I feel almost contained and sometimes trapped in this body, so
I could see that. I could totally see that. I could feel when you said that, I could feel like you want to just like I said, when you were talking a while ago, like the world is your new playground.
Yeah. I feel like I'm learning everything. I'm seeing it and I'm like, oh, cool, interesting. Like this is what this looks like today. You know what I mean? This is where I'm at today. Like this is what I'm very present. That's where I focus on the present. So I feel like the way that these kind of systems have worked and the way that we've seen it, it's like this false sense of security. Like everyone's been sold this false sense of security. And I think right now the veil has been like, taken off it's been lifted pretty seriously now. And like, you can't put that back on now. We've seen what we've seen. And when you really, do the research and you don't really have to really dig that deep to know where's our tax dollars going, like what are they doing, like who's paying for what. I mean, the Campbell Soup guy that just came out, that CEO that was saying what he's saying, like I can't ever align myself with anybody or anything that is going to cause destruction to another human being. Like I can't ever, that's my soul is bright and my energy is big and I'm loving because I don't allow any sort of justification for, kicking down more disenfranchised people and, just people who are, you see it. We all see it. We can't pretend that we can't see this, And for as much as I feel like governments all over the world, like they in this country, like we just saw, like they're starving a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like when they cancel SNAP benefits and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't care about my $36 a year going to help kids, whatever it is to get. My family we definitely received public assistance growing up. I'm a Head Start kid, and people are always like, oh, well, if imagine how many, doctors you killed if with this whatever. And it's like, well, how many doctors and scientists and artists and musicians are not getting the nutrients that they need right now because there's a bunch of people who need 16 yachts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think there needs to be some sort of like balance. Like, it's like to me, I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's just people with fake money talking to other people with fake money, passing it to each other. And then when things happen there, like the people are the ones who feel like the brunt of it. And so I want to try to be like, really what I'm doing is like, I want to activate, like we could all speak up against, like I helped elect certain officials in our government, like I'm a big supporter of like Isabel Jurado and Ulises, Hernandez and like different people who are advocating and out there, working actually for the people who listen to us. And even when I was like, I've DJ'd for the mayor and I've done all sorts, like I'm getting involved in that way because I want them to see me.
Yeah.
And when they see me, when all this is under rubble or whatever, if they find one flyer with my name on it, they will be able to find all of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so if I need to be the person like to be out there, like, then I'll do that. But I can't imagine being quiet in the time like this. And but I'm not going to spend all my time online either, just posting and posting and posting all these atrocities, because that does nothing.
Well, what I feel that you're saying is, and this is such a great lesson for all of us, it's like, yes, you can, first of all, number one, it's like not ignore it, and you're using your art, you're using your talent to get in the room in a very creative way, still being true to you, still being true to what you're passionate about, making money while you're doing it, and like, you know, like I'm so aligned with you with this, and having that social capital. It's like, I really do feel, you know, that a lot of times entrepreneurs, especially, they're limited not because they're not capable, but because they lack resources. They lack being resourceful, right? And it's like, I start to think, well, look, I want to get to know all these people, and so how can I bring my art and still be true to me, get to know them, and then have them in my, well, a lot of the audience will still know this, the Rolodex, right? Having all these people in my Rolodex. And so that's such a beautiful way to be able to take what it is that you're passionate about, still be an advocate for the people that you want to be an advocate for. But like I said, you're doing it in a very classy way, because I feel that sometimes people, in my opinion, when they get too extreme, to me, it's a little turn off. It's like, okay, look, like I always feel like for example, religion, right? Like I do believe in God, and some of my friends, they not that they don't, but they believe more like in the universe and stuff like that. And I want them to be respectful of my beliefs, so I need to be respectful of their beliefs. But sometimes I feel like they want me to have their beliefs, and I'm like, wait a minute, like this is not the way it works. And so I really appreciate how you go about it, because like I said, I've watched you, and I feel like you're very involved in a very classy way. So.
Thanks. I try. Well, and I also like have like such amazing friends, and again, like these youthful voices, like the way they talk and the way I love TikTok. I love Instagram. I love all that stuff, because I'm like, man, I see all these different people. I'm like, ooh, they're doing that. Let me try that. Like almost like they empower me.
Yeah, this new generation has a lot of permission.
Yeah. And what's crazy is a lot of them look at me like, because I'm friends with a lot of really young people, you know, and they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, we love that. Yes, I needed to just hang out with you for 5 minutes. I needed it. Or they're like, oh, I just need this. And I'm like, well, come through and I'll help you real quick, and I'll get you these, you know, whatever. I'll help you. And they're like, really? Oh my gosh. And it's like, I want to encourage people to, like, I loved your brunch. This is why I loved your brunch, because this is one thing I do, and I'm actually going to be hosting one in a couple weeks, like something not in the same vein, but like, get in the room, cool, we're all women, we're all entrepreneurs, cool, we can talk about our struggle, awesome, cool. What do I need right now though to get me to the next level? Tell me, like, what do you need from me? What do you need in the world? Oh, I might know somebody. Actually, blah, blah, blah. And then just putting all the stuff out here and being like, this is what I need. Like, I'm not on Instagram the whole time just being like, oh, look what I've done. Look at this amazing stuff that I've done. Look at all this amazing things. Look how good I look. Look at all these. I'm doing that, and I'm like, cool, guys, another thing I'm looking to do this thing. I need da 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 da. Within like minutes, I have like 15, 20 messages of people. So like actually learning, I had to learn this definitely after getting divorced, like actually just saying what it is I need. Not necessarily being like, oh, if only I had. No. I have all that I need to do what I need to do. You know what I mean? It's here. It's just my job is to source it.
Call it in.
And it gets here. And do I stress out about money or whatever? I wouldn't say I ever stress out about money, but do I ever like think like, dang, if I almost immediately am like, I'm literally exactly where I'm supposed to be at the right exact time. Let me actually enjoy this ice cream for a second, and then it'll come to me. Something will happen. I have lived enough years to know that I don't need to know everything at the time it happens. Yeah. I could let it go.
Surrender. That was my word for this year, 2025, was surrender, Karla. I would always have to take a deep breath. It's like, just trust the process, right? Trust the process.
Yep.
So Liz, I have a couple questions. I'm going to do a power round with you so we can wrap this up. Okay. So you can expand it or be brief, however you wish. Okay. First one is, what's one mantra you repeat when you're shifting into the next level?
One mantra I repeat when I'm shifting to the next level. I think I just kind of said it. I always say, like, I'm at the right place at the right time. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Like, that's something when I'm shifting. when I'm shifting, I consider that when I feel like it's like, okay, something's happening. There's a bunch of stuff, and I feel like I'm in transitional. I think of like the mountains, right? Like I don't like I'm going up a mountain. Then I'm like, oh, cool, I'm succeeding somewhere. If I'm like, dang, I've got something going on, then I'm at the bottom of that next. That's what it feels like when I'm about to do something really awesome. I'm in this little
transition.
And I'm a DJ, and you know, as a DJ, you're only as good as your transitions. So
that is true.
You know what I mean? If I don't kill it during the transitions, then what's the point? Like, that's when it matters.
Yeah.
You know?
So on that note, tell me a time you trusted your intuition and that it paid off.
It's definitely the DJing. I literally started learning how to DJ professionally, like where I was like, I'm gonna learn how to DJ. I started learning how to DJ because I wanted to have something fun to do when I'm like smoking weed at home with my friends. Like that was like the purpose. That was it. But in learning how to, and one thing I really did feel like growing up, even when I was working, and I'm successful in the film industry, right? Like all the projects that I've done. I remember one thing I always felt jealous about was all the the people that worked with me that had like they had photos of themselves carrying cameras when they were little kids, and so they've always been in the industry. They've always wanted, and I'm like, man, I never felt like that. I always felt like I just needed to get a cool gig, like get a job and just something that's gonna pay. But it wasn't until I started DJing that I was like, oh my gosh, I have that tie-in. Like all I've ever done was play records. All I've ever done was made mixtapes for my friends. I've always made the mix CDs for my family. I've always been the one that would put the $20 in the jukebox. I've always been the one I've always had events. I've thrown events at my house. I have a movie night almost every other month at my house with like a bunch of people that come and we do them outside. And like, I throw events for like, but then I was like, dang, it was the DJing. Because then people would book me for DJing, and like DJs, like restaurants and stuff, they don't pay you a ton of money to DJ at these gigs. I don't use them for the money. That's my marketing, because now it's like going to be in all these websites, all these things. I got my name on all the flyers with all the people. So then when I would like DJ, then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting into all these other rooms. But I had a DJ station. This trips me out all the time. I have the best DJ station with 2 turntables and mixer and whatever. But the DJ station was built like 5 years before I even started DJing.
Oh, wow.
And it was expensive. Like, I had it custom made. I wasn't even DJing.
You know, they say that, and I do believe this, that your body's here, but your soul, it like already. Yep. So one of my other therapists, who's a clairvoyant, and she would always tell me whenever I would call her, she'd be like, okay, well, your soul, like basically like it's already there. Your body's catching up with that.
Yeah.
And you know, something that I want to say that I highly recommend everybody watching this to really take this on is that our zone of genius a lot of the times gets dismissed because it comes so natural to us.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
and
gosh, yeah.
when if you've ever heard people say like, what are you talking about? You've always done this. It's almost like everybody knew before you. Everybody knew. I have so many people around me when I told them I was going to start coaching. They're like, it's about time.
Yeah.
Because they've always seen me like that. It just takes time for us, like you said, to lift the veil and allow ourselves to own that zone of genius.
It's a real trip. I mean, when I started DJing, it was like almost like instantly, like all these things. And then I started feeling better because also, did you know, obviously dancing and singing.
Therapy.
And you get all this dopamine. Well, when you got all this dopamine in your head, no wonder I'm high all the time. You know, I'm just dancing is my gig. Like, no wonder I've got a ton of energy. That's part of my job. Like, part of my job is to dance and to have a good time. And like with the bars, like I said, like they don't pay a ton when you go in there. But when I went in there, I have flyers, I have market, I make it a theme. I do all these things because I'm not like, you don't just catch me. I'm not just playing music for 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're
like,
networking.
Oh man, and I'm like jamming, like, and I'll just have people just sit there and just stare at me, just like
whatever she's on, I want.
They're like, there's 6 people in this wine bar just having regular old chats, and you're over here just like getting in the vibe, you know. Mm-hmm. That's a gift that I know I have. Mm-hmm. And back to like the thing how you said like your soul and like not knowing, like I said in my time and just like where I'm at in the world. Like, I thank future me all the time. I'll do something and I'll be like, oh my God, I already did this. I did this. Why? And I remember when I was doing it, I was wondering why I was doing this way, but thanks, future me. Like, you're killing it for me. Like, future me takes care of present me all the time. Like,
I like that. I'm going to steal that.
Go for it. It's yours.
Okay, last question. What's a mindset practice that keeps you grounded as a leader?
Oh my gosh, a mindset practice that keeps me grounded as a leader. I thought about this one actually. My big practice, something I do. Well, I do a lot of yoga, and that has helped me a lot in, again, like staying super present. Like, I solve the problem that then and there. You know what I mean? And then like there's a saying that it's like, if you want something done, you have to give it to a busy person. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So it's like, I handle, like, something that keeps me grounded is like, I know, like, okay, again, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm here. I was given this task. This is not a big deal. Like, people, like, when shit's hitting the fan and all the different places, I'm like right there ready to like help. Like, I'm like, okay, let's everyone calm down. But I think it's just like in the yoga, in the breathing, and in the just, again, slowing it down. Whenever things gets too crazy, I'm just like, let's just slow it down really quick, and then let's get together. All right, cool. You know?
Just handling the moment. You know, sometimes, I'm sure people will say, how do you do everything? It's like, because I do it right now.
Yeah.
And right now. And right now.
There's only one way to eat an elephant, and it's one bite at a time.
I love that.
And that's it. Just slow. Like, I'm a slow and steady person. For as high energy and as active as I am, I do feel like I go through the world super slow. I feel like the world's going like this, and my job is to kind of like at least maintain my pace, regardless of what's happening over here. Like, and I'm very honest with myself and with people around me about what I'm feeling.
That could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
I live in truth.
Yeah.
All the time.
I am impeccable with my word. What I say is like, what I say is real, and it's like, it's my, like, it's an honest.
Yeah.
I stay very honest.
You want to know something? And I'm going to finish with this, is that I feel that is probably where we get the most of our energy. I really, really, like my friend that I was telling you, I forgot what I called her, Mary. I feel that when people are constantly living in lies and pretend, not only are they literally making themselves sick, but that is what's draining their energy. It's
it must be exhausting.
No, it's a huge power leak. But when you are living in truth, like I tell people, don't ask me, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not rude about it. But if you tell me how you're feeling, I'm going to tell you. I'm never like, I feel great. Like my mom, everybody gets uncomfortable because they're like, how are you feeling? I'm like, honestly, not very good. I'm super, people are like, or like, for example, my ex-husband wouldn't want to go to family functions. And people were like, why didn't he say he'll come? Because he didn't want to. And they're like, I'm like, why am I going to lie? The truth is he didn't want to come, and that's okay. I'm here. You want to see me. You're my family, not his. Yeah. And I feel that is where I get a lot of my energy, is because I'm always, to my best of my ability, I'm always living in truth.
Yeah, and having agency over yourself. Like I have, like, you can't make me do anything. Like, and I know that everything I do, I sleep well every single night. Every single night I sleep well.
Yeah.
I do the best I can at every time. You know what I mean? Like so I don't have any, like, that's why I love that Kendrick Lamar line. It's like, you say a lie about me and I'll tell the truth about you. You know what I mean? I have nothing to hide, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, and so I think that's definitely something that I'm the most proud of. That, I'm 48 now, and there's nothing, like, I'm not ashamed of anything that I've ever done. And if there's ever anything that I've done to you or to anyone that may have hurt their feelings, and, and we have, like, a thing, like, that was the best version of myself at the time and whatever. I don't have anyone out there, like, there might be people who have beef with me. That's none of my business. Like, how you relate to me in your head is none of my business.
Absolutely.
Well,
listen, girl, we could talk business all day here. I definitely think we should do another episode. I cannot believe all the confessions you had me share today. But see, this is this is such a true example of what it looks like to be in presence of somebody who also lives in their truth. So thank you so much for coming. It's been really fun. And for everybody watching, don't forget to subscribe and like. And so if somebody wanted to follow you, how could they get a hold of you?
I'm LA Bellatini everywhere. So LA, Bella, and then TINI. But and then Friends Over Followers LA. Definitely if you're an artist and in LA and you're just looking to meet cool people, a friend of mine says you have to build relationships before you need them, and I'm available to build relationships, so come on out.
Yeah, so we'll definitely put everything here in the comments below and in the description below. And so thank you so much, and we're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah,
all right,
sure.
So with that said, don't forget to wake up and unleash that woman you know you have inside. Have a blessed day.